Imagine walking into a busy weekend market only to find your crying teenage daughter surrounded by a group of self-righteous strangers, all screaming at her about being a sinner. That's exactly what happened to me. And when I discovered the people behind this public humiliation, I decided to give them a lesson they'd never forget, inside their own church. If you've ever wished for justice against people who lied about you, or tried to turn an entire community against your family, then you're going to love this story. Hit that like button, subscribe, and get ready for one of the most satisfying revenge tales you'll ever hear. I'm a 46-year-old mom of two daughters, 17 and 15. Their father, my ex-husband, passed away last year in a tragic accident. But honestly, the accident wasn't even the most painful part of our story. You see, before he died, he cheated on me. Not only cheated, but fathered two sons with the woman he had an affair with. When he and the affair partner died, those little boys were left behind. And my ex's parents, my former in-laws, decided they wanted to rewrite history. Suddenly, they weren't just grieving grandparents. They were self-declared saints, demanding custody of my daughters, and even trying to force the orphaned boys into my home. Neither of those things were ever going to happen. And the worst part, they tried to weaponize faith and guilt against my girls. Two teenagers who were still reeling from losing their dad and from learning about his betrayal in the first place. Fast forward to a Saturday morning. My youngest had just turned 15, and while her big birthday party was still a few weeks away, I gave her a budget to go wild at the weekend market. Sweets, chocolates, whatever she wanted. After an hour, I started to worry. Just as I reached for my phone, it rang. Her voice cracked through the speaker, crying, "Mom, some women won't leave me alone. They're yelling at me." My stomach dropped. My older daughter and I sprinted through the aisles, weaving past stalls of fresh fruit and bread, until we found her, my baby, backed into a corner by half a dozen older women. Their voices were sharp, accusing. "Ungrateful girl! How dare you ignore your grandparents? A real Christian would step up and love her baby brothers." These weren't strangers. I recognized a few of them. They were part of my ex-in-law's church. I could see my daughter shaking, clutching her bag of candy like a shield. That was the moment something inside me snapped. I stepped between them and her, standing tall. My voice was ice. "That's enough! My daughter owes you nothing. Not your time, not your guilt, nothing." One of them sneered, "You should obey your ex-in-laws. Be a good Christian wife to a dead cheater?" My blood boiled. I didn't hold back. I unleashed every ounce of rage I had bottled up. My words cut sharp, and within minutes the shouting grew so loud that market staff intervened. We were asked to leave, but these women followed me, circling like vultures, even as I got my girls safely into the car. That night, after my daughters were asleep, I reached out to a friend still inside that church. He told me the full story, and my jaw nearly hit the floor. My ex-mother-in-law had posted a sob story in the church's Facebook group. According to her, my daughters and I were cruel monsters, refusing to let grieving grandparents see their granddaughters, abandoning the poor orphaned boys, leaving her and her husband homeless and destitute. And the kicker? She painted my ex's affair children as if they were conceived through a surrogacy arrangement, claiming I was unable to have more kids, and that I selfishly rejected them because they were boys. I could barely breathe reading that. The audacity, the sheer filth of that lie. She twisted my husband's betrayal into a story where I was the villain. And the church? Many of them were eating it up, offering prayers, sympathy, even money. But here's the thing. This church had one strict rule they never bent on. They preached endlessly about forgiveness and family values. But cheating was their one unpardonable sin. And my ex's affair, I had all the receipts. That's when it clicked. If my ex-mother-in-law wanted to drag my daughters and me through the mud, fine. I'd return the favor with the truth. And I wasn't just going to post online. No, that would be too easy, too forgettable. I wanted every single member of that church to see my ex's lies, his parents' hypocrisy, and their cruelty toward my girls. I was going to weaponize their own gossip mill against them. The next morning I headed to a print shop. I brought everything. Photos of my ex and his affair partner in our living room. Text threads between the two of them. Messages where his parents admitted they knew and encouraged him. Screenshots of them calling my daughters bastards and blaming them for their father's death, just days after his funeral. I didn't just print them. I paid extra to have them on glossy, high-quality paper. Then I went home and spent hours carefully arranging everything into personalized binders, each one styled to look like the hymn packets that church handed out at Sunday services. And right on the front page, a full-color photo of my ex making out with his mistress, captioned ex-husband's name and mistress's name's love story. That Sunday, I walked into the church, calm as can be. My hands didn't even shake as I set the binders on the back desk, the one where members picked up songbooks. No one checked them. No one questioned me. And then I left. By the time I got home, the gossip mill had already erupted. Facebook was on fire. Comments raged with words I can't even repeat here. My ex was condemned. His mistress dragged through the mud. And my ex-in-laws? Oh, they weren't seen as grieving saints anymore. They were exposed as liars who had tormented their own granddaughters. The fallout was brutal. The pastor had to step in just to calm the congregation down. My daughters received apology letters from church members who admitted they'd been misled. I was even invited to rejoin the flock for support. But my in-laws, they became pariahs. Shamed, humiliated, abandoned. My ex-mother-in-law eventually left the church altogether, whining on social media about how no one cares for the elderly anymore. The irony? She claimed her great son would have supported her if he was still alive. But between you and me, I was the breadwinner. Without me, she'd have had nothing, even before the affair. That binder, those glossy pages, became my revenge masterpiece. Every time I imagine someone opening it, expecting a hymn, only to see my ex locking lips with his mistress, I can't help but smile. For once, the truth was louder than their lies. And my daughters finally got to see justice. Justice for the names they'd been called, the guilt they'd been forced to carry, and the public shaming they endured. At the end of the day, revenge didn't just feel good. It felt necessary. Sometimes the only way to stop bullies is to shine a light on the truth they're desperate to hide. And for my daughters, that light was the closure they needed. If this story gave you chills, hit that like button and tell me in the comments, what's the most satisfying revenge you've ever seen or done yourself? Don't forget to subscribe for more stories that prove karma always comes around.